So, change. Change is the one thing that we do not have control over. Change will always be a constant part of our life. Every single day, our lives are changing. Every single day, we are changing. And what I've learned so far is that it is better to go with the flow of change than to try to go against it. I myself personally have a problem with change, especially with growing older. I do have an issue with growing older. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful that I am still alive and I'm still here, but I still have to learn how to live and operate in a new body, in a new mind, a new era. At my age, at the age of 51, I am living a life I've never lived before. I'm experiencing changes in my body I've never experienced before, and it doesn't always feel good. I can be honest with you, it doesn't always feel good, doesn't always look good. Anyway, nevertheless, we all have to learn how to deal with the different changes that we go through in life. Resisting change can bring more stress on your life and more burdens and more hardships than just embracing it. So I'm learning to embrace change because it's for our good. Even though, like I said, it doesn't always feel good, but it is for our good. It's going to take you to change in order for you to grow. Now, it's true that everything that's changing is not necessarily growth, but in order for you to grow, you do have to change. You can't stay the same and expect different results. I'm reminded of Abraham in the book of Genesis. God told Abraham that he needed to get out from among his kinfolks and leave where he was from in order for him to get the promise. In order for Abraham to become the father of many nations, he had to leave where he was, and he had to follow God's voice. He had to follow God's directions in order to get everything that was coming his way. So a lot of times it's hard for us to leave our kinfolks. A lot of times it's hard for us to leave home. A lot of times it's hard for us to leave the city that we are in, the country that we are in. But when it's time to grow, sometimes you have to actually leave to grow. Sometimes you have to actually leave where you are to get the best that is to come. I'm also reminded of Joseph in the Bible, who was actually sold into slavery. Joseph was mistreated by his own brothers and his own father, only to actually become governor of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? He became the ruler of Egypt after all that he had been through and all the changes that transpired in his life. And with Abraham and Joseph both, we have to understand that a lot of what they were able to do was done because of the faith that they had, even when they didn't know what was going to happen next, even if they didn't know what they were about to go through or embark upon. So what I want to talk about today is how important it is for you to have faith in the middle of change. Change is not easy. Like I said, I can personally say that change, I've always been open to change, but a lot of times we don't know what that looks like or what that is going to do to us. But it's important that we have faith and believe that God is going to help us get through whatever it is we have to go through, whatever direction He is pointing us in. We have to have faith enough to believe and know that He's going to lead and guide us in the directions that we should be going. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." God knows what's best for us. Even when we think we know the directions we should be going, even when we think that we know more than God, He will always remind us, you know what I'm saying, that He created us. He knows what the plans are for our life. We have to understand that we have plans for our life, but God also has plans for our lives. And if God has to interrupt what we have planned in order for His purpose to be done and His will to be done in our lives, He will do that. He will do that. I also know that He will give us the desires of our hearts if we delight ourselves in Him. Now, I don't believe that God is going to just like throw everything you want to do out of the way, out of line. As long as the things that you want for your life lines up with what God wants you to do, He will cause those things to come to pass if they are in His will and in His way. But God knows what's best for us. And sometimes we need to just listen to the voice of God and obey. And we have to trust and know that God has a plan for us even if we don't understand. God has a plan for us even if we can't see it. God knows what we have to do next even if we have no idea what it is. So the moment that you decide and make up in your mind that you're going to accept change and you're going to accept the will of God for your life and you're going to come in agreement with what God says and has planned for us, once you come in agreement with that, it's important for you to have a prayer life. I cannot emphasize this enough. You have to have a prayer life. Connecting with God through prayer is one of the most rewarding things for you. Just know that God hears your prayers. God hears your voice. God hears your petitions. Whatever it is that you are dealing with, pray about it. God will hear your voice. The moment that you decide that you're going to obey God's will, you're going to accept change, and you're going to get out and do what He tells you to do, the only way for you to be successful in that is to have a prayer connection with Him. You have to connect with God in prayer. You have to connect with God so that you can hear His voice and hear His voice clearly in the direction and the ways that you must go. A lot of people are familiar with Psalms 23, the Lord is our shepherd. You know what I'm saying? I shall not want. He leadeth me through the path of righteousness for His name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for God is with me. God will always be with us. Even at the moments and times when you can't trace Him, the moments in time when you can't feel Him, just know that He is still there. Isaiah 41:10 tells us, do not fear, because God is with you. No matter what you are dealing with or whatever you are going through, just know that God is with you at all times. Don't be afraid to embrace change because you don't know what's happening or what the outcome is going to be. Y'all, when I tell you this, what I'm talking about now is what I am currently living. A lot of times we try to be so controlling over our own lives, our own situations, and everything that we're going through. And sometimes we don't even want God to be involved in our decision making. But we have to understand that God is in everything. God is everywhere and He is in everything. God is not going to bogart His way into your life. Do know and understand that. He's a gentleman. He knocks on the door. He wants you to invite Him into your life. He wants you to open up and let Him come in. As long as you are the one who is still in control and think you know it all and think you can do it all, He's not going to bogart His way in. But the moment that you open yourself up and the moment you are willing to hear His voice, even if you don't know everything that's going to happen, if you are willing to let your guard down and let Him in, He will come in and He will give you what you need. He will show you where you need to go. He will advise you. He will warn you. He will protect you. He will guide you. But you got to welcome Him in. He's not going to bogart His way into our lives or into our situations. God wants to be there for us. God wants to be there for us. God wants to protect us. But we have to open up ourselves to that. I can think back on the time when I was going through a very heartbreaking divorce, and I felt like God had left me alone, and I felt like God sent me a way and a path that I didn't want to go on. Had I known it was going to end up the way that it ended up, there was no way I would have chosen that for my life, And so as I and my ex discovered that it was best that we part ways in peace, which we did do, it was still hurtful. It was still hurtful, and it was still the worst experience I've ever had in my life, but I still had to learn how to trust God through that process. I had to get on the other side of it all. And I can remember just like telling God that, no, I'm not going to trust you to help me to get out of this. When I prayed before I even got into it, I prayed and asked you for guidance in the beginning. And then this is what I get. This is what I get for trusting and believing you. This is what I get for asking for your help and your assistance. And God had to show me and prove to me that He was still by my side, even though me and my ex, we had our ups and our downs. We had our differences. And that was one of the main reasons why we decided to go our separate ways. But my thing was, God, I prayed to you about this before I even went into it. So why am I going through, a major divorce? And I had to learn that, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. And when I thought God had left me, He was actually right there by my side. It took me healing and getting over that process to understand that God was still with me, even when it looked like He wasn't. And after so much prayer, and even in the beginning, I heard God tell me that He brought this person into my life to make me a better person. Now, was that for me to go marry him and all of that? I still believe that we made the right decision. And even in our decisions, God was still there with us. Even though it didn't end the way that we thought it would, God was still with us. Now that I'm on the other side of it, God is still with me. And that's what's important, because I really thought that when I got out of it and was working my way back to a healthy mindset and just a healthy environment altogether, I really thought that He wasn't with me. I really did. I really thought He left me. God showed me that He was there with me through all the tears that I cried, and He was there with me to comfort me and to help me to get through, this terrible time in my life. But I had to learn how to trust Him again and know that everything that God does work together for our good, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's indifferent. Everything that goes on in your life, all of it is working together for a greater good. And I am a better woman today than I was before I met Him. I have exceeded my own expectations in my life. I have no idea where I would have been if I had not have gone through that situation. I know I would not be elevated in my thinking, elevated in my living, elevated in my mindset. Now, trust me, trust and believe. I still have hard times. I still have hard days. As a matter of fact, yesterday was a very difficult day. It was a very difficult day because I sat and kind of like took inventory of myself. And the only thing my mind wanted to focus on was the negative, everything negative that transpired in my life in the past year. But I had to get out of that slump, and remind myself of all the good things that have happened since I've been out of this. All of the good things that have come my way since leaving, that relationship. And it's all because God. It's all because God led me out of what I was in. God protected me while I was in it. God helped me and healed me on my way on the other side of it. And I thank God for that. So we have to learn how to trust Him, trust His ways, because His ways are not our ways. His mind is not our mind. He does things differently, y'all. He does everything different. So whether you are dealing with a loss or whether you are dealing with a sickness or whatever the case may be, whatever it is you're dealing with in life, learn how to trust in God and know that He can help you get through it. So I just want to encourage you all to just accept the change that God has for you. Accept the changes that are in your life. Don't try to hold on to someone or don't try to hold on to the past. Don't try to hold on to dead situations, y'all. We got to let them go. We got to let things go. We got to let people go that's no longer serving us. Let go of the fears, let go of the anxiety, let go of the unknown, and let God take control. Give all of your fears, give all of your doubts, give all of everything that's bothering you to Him. Let Him figure it out for you. Because trust me, He already knows. He ain't got to figure it out. He already has the answer, but you got to submit it and give it to him. Let him, again, he's not going to bogart his way in your life, but give your concerns and your issues and your problems over to God and watch him make a way. In the midst of it all, focus on the good of change. Focus on the goodness that could happen when you change. You'll never know if you don't go through with it. You will never know. You will never know. And we as humans, we love to hold on to the familiar. That's a huge problem that we just have to learn how to get over. And it's, like I said, we're human. We're always going to go back to what's familiar. But you have to learn how to override familiarity and open yourself up to new things, new experiences. Open yourself up to allowing God to lead you and to help you to grow in grace. Give yourself the opportunity to grow. Don't be stuck in the mindset of the challenges that will come if you decide to make this move. That's fear. That's fear. That's fear setting in. That's doubt setting in. And before you know it, you done talked yourself out of your blessing. You done talked yourself out of your new place. You done talked yourself out of your miracle. So don't allow that to happen. Don't worry about the challenges that may come. God has everything in control. Just be open to the changes and the new opportunities that God has for you. When we adapt to what God has for us, when you open yourself up to and you actually begin to walk in his leading and his guidance, you will begin to see how important it was for you to obey and to believe. You will begin to see the changes in your life. You will begin to notice the goodness in your life. And that's only going to make you more confident. That's going to make you feel better. That's going to make you reevaluate where you are and who you are. That's going to make your relationship with God improve even the more. And that's the beauty of it all. That's the beauty of it all. God is not going to lead you to a dead place. God is all about elevation. God is all about holiness. God is all about helping. God is all about encouraging. God is all about love. There is no way God is going to lead you down a path of destruction. It's not his will and it's not his way. So I just wanted to encourage you all to just be open to change. And I myself am still open and encouraging myself as well to be more open to what God has for me and the changes that life will always throw our way. Change is inevitable, y'all. Don't get stuck being stupid, okay? Don't get stuck being stagnant. Don't get caught being immobile, because this world is forever changing. The times are forever changing. The seasons are forever changing. So what makes you think you shouldn't be changing? So be open to the change that God has for your life. It's only for your good. It's only to make you a better person. It's only to take you to levels you have never been or seen in him or in life before. So be open up to that, okay? I don't want anybody to be stuck. I don't want anybody to be living a life of regret. I don't want anyone to be living a life of fear, woulda, coulda, shoulda. No. Throw that away. Throw that away. Move, obey, listen. Move, obey, listen. If you got a question, God, ask him. Okay, God, now you have me here. What do I need to be doing while I'm in this spot? What do I need to be doing while I'm in this space? Help me to understand your hand. Help me to understand what I should be doing. When you ask, God will answer. When you don't know, ask God and he will show you. But yes, I just wanted to encourage you all to be open to change and be open to doing what God has. Be open to receiving the goodness that God has for your life, all right? Thank you for stopping by my channel. If I've said anything encouraging to you today, I hope that you will press the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. Please leave any questions or comments below, and I will see you in the comment section. Peace.